stream, all that good stuff. Stand by.
All right, cool. All right, you guys. So A-Block here. Just a lot of energy here. Let's have a good show. So I'll lead you guys through it. Just make sure you're looking at your messenger. Just give me his signal whenever you're ready, Kevin. All right, Cole.
Yep.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite. I'm Cole Wright at your service once again, and today we're going to kick around the Cubs and a decade of domination. Are they set up for that? Of course, we'll discuss. Plus, we're going to talk about the best bat flips in the history of Major League
Can we
Baseball.
stop down?
We can't do.
It was our fault. There was a quick audio thing. We'll just restart. Our fault.
It's all good.
It was on the stream.
No, it was good on the stream. I didn't hear it.
Okay, here we go. 5,
Yep.
4, 3, 2, 1.
And just like that, it's a Tuesday edition of Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite. I'm Cole Wright. Now, today on the show, we're going to talk about a decade of dominance. Are the Cubs, are they set up that way? Of course, we'll discuss. Plus, we're going to talk about the best bat flips in the history of Major League Baseball. But we can't do that until we meet our panel. So let's get things underway. First things first, she's our Marquee Sports Network reporter, and she'll be on the sidelines once the season actually goes down. It's Taylor McGregor, and he's a 12-year big leaguer formerly, and it'll be his 8th season in the booth for the Cubs. You know him as Jim Deshaies, but we like to call him JD. And in 2011, he led the Northsiders with 28 home runs. Carlos Pena, welcome back to Cubs 360. Now, since we're on the topic of long balls, I think we could be seeing some long balls hit at 1060 West Addison sooner rather than later. That is because Major League Baseball, well, they could open the season in 10 to 12 states in as many as 20 home parks. Now, that is according to a report from Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic, where Major League Baseball reportedly considers the Arizona plan, the one in which the season will be played entirely in the Grand Canyon state, the least desirable one of all when it comes to the options under consideration. Now, check this report out. It reflects some comments made by Chicago's Mayor Lori Lightfoot, where she said, quote, "Can I envision a world where baseball might return to Chicago this summer? Yes. Is it likely to be without fans? Probably." So, JD, what's your thoughts on baseball in 2020, but in local ballparks and not in the hubs of Arizona, Florida, or Texas for that matter?
Yeah, I'm becoming more bullish on the idea that we will have Major League Baseball in some form or fashion this year. You know, Kenny Rosenthal, when he started his article, said, MLB is considering pretty much every option. So there are a lot of people working hard on this idea. We had the Arizona plan for a while. Then there was the 3-state plan. He talks about 5 or 6 different hubs hosting 5 or 6 different clubs, based on geography. I think all of that is still in play. They obviously have to react to the virus and to if they're able to ramp up testing or not. But my best guess, and this is strictly a guess, is that sooner or later we will be playing some home games at Wrigley Field. In a perfect world, we'd have fans, but that's not likely to happen. So I'm guessing empty ballparks. And then the big question is, how many games can you play? If you can get a 80-game schedule in, is that enough to have a representative season where you feel good about crowning a World Series champion? I don't know the answer, and really nobody does at this point.
Nobody does know the answer, JD, and I think that's why we're having these types of discussions, is there's so many things at play here. I'm with you, JD, in the idea that I do believe we will see some rendition of baseball in 2020. When you talk about having it in each club or each club's respective home city, of course, there's a few things at play. I think the amount of travel that would then cause players to expose themselves as they traveled, and the disparity between the different cities, whether it's the stay-at-home orders or the peak in which they're at when it comes to the coronavirus. I was really encouraged, though, with the idea of having teams play in their home ballpark when on Sunday, the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, came out and said, I do believe we will see baseball in New York, because of course New York has kind of been the hot spot in this country. And so when he came out and said that in one of the areas that has been most impacted, I was really encouraged. So I think the idea of having teams play in their respective hometowns is definitely at play. And I just have a feeling that that's where we're going to get to. And I'm going to hope that we do. I don't believe fans will be there, at least definitely not in full capacity. I think we can all agree on that. And I don't really see in any sort of fashion, because I just think even limited amount of crowds, it's still so hard to have that 6 feet of separation, whether you're coming in or coming out. So I don't see fans happening, but I am encouraged by the idea of having teams play in their own cities.
I am also optimistic, Taylor. I do agree with you. I think baseball will be played. When we do not know, there's so many things, so many variables, and so many questions that need answers, and that is the problem. In a sense, we're being reactive and playing defense, and rightfully so. I mean, at the end of the day, the most important thing is keeping everyone healthy, keeping everyone safe. And let's just say there's been ideas floating around, say, hey, we're gonna let the fans in, and let's make sure that they stay away 2 seats away from each other. The problem with that is that we are depending on people's discipline. And I think as a league, as an industry, we have a responsibility to make sure we keep our fans safe. So why put them in a situation where they wouldn't be, or where they would be risking themselves? So empty stadiums, to me, make the most sense. You know what? And this presents the league with a very good opportunity, really, to explore uncharted territory. As far as entertainment is concerned, there's going to be some things that they're going to have to try out. So the creativity is going to have to be, up to, on par with the situation in order to really propel the game of baseball in this very dire, ecosystem where things are going just south, and there are a lot of variables that we don't really have answers to. So instead of looking at this as a big problem, I think the league has an opportunity to really come through and blossom and show the fans that baseball can be the heartbeat of this country, and really give it a lifeline, a much needed lifeline, hopefully sooner than later.
Absolutely. Now, Taylor, Ken Rosenthal, in that article, he said that we could get back to baseball mid-June. Is that somewhat optimistic? Do you think maybe out of bounds? Yay or nay?
Well, I think what has been pointed out by Ken Rosenthal and several other writers who are covering this story is talking about how a lot of Major League Baseball teams have said that they'll pay their employees through the end of May. And so that kind of sets a marker as to when they really have to have a decision made of what it's going to look like. And when you look right now at what the CDC is recommending with a large majority of the cities, it seems that the stay-at-home orders, I'm here in Colorado, it's more of a safe-at-home order now. So they're going to become more laxed in their stay-at-home orders. And as those continue to mount up across our nation, I do think we will see baseball make a decision. And so mid-June to me seems realistic, at least for a type of spring training. And then you have a few weeks there, and then potentially start the season early July is what I would probably have to say.
Yeah, I like the notion of an early July start. Clearly, you're going to have issues because obviously states are on different timetables. Some states are being more aggressive in terms of opening things up. Others, for whatever reason, are not. And a lot of it is just how strong the virus is, density of population in certain areas. So maybe that certain states, certain ballparks are available, others are not. For instance, let's say California remains closed. So you got all the California teams that have no home ballpark. So under that scenario, you're probably going to have to go to the Arizona, Texas, Florida plan, or some kind of a hub plan. So you create almost neutral sites for everybody, because it would be clearly unfair to have some teams playing in their home stadium and other teams not. I think that's going to be a big consideration going forward. And I think the other alternative is some kind of a hybrid where they start with some kind of a hub plan where, a bunch of teams are in one area playing and, other teams are doing it in a couple different little hubs. And then eventually, as the country opens up even further, then an opportunity to return to your home ballpark becomes more available. So it's all wide open. There's so many possibilities here. Contemplating the idea of no fans in the ballpark, and I think that's the most likely. But as Carlos says, you talked about that. I thought, wouldn't it be really cool if there was a lottery and like 100 people got into the ballpark so they could watch? I mean, it'd be pretty easy to keep those folks socially distanced, and you generate some revenue for charity by offering up a lottery to come to a major league park.
Yeah, so many ideas on the table, and obviously, baseball is considering all of them because as they should. But I do see that baseball, if it comes back, I'm saying sooner than later. I'm thinking that July date, it's more of a possibility, more reasonable. And again, it would be just like saying, hey, after the All-Star game, right? Like it's like the first half of the season. Well, we're going to play the second half of the season. I think it's easier to digest when we think about it that way. And then it also gives baseball a little bit more time to prepare and to see what's going on. Because remember, we are at the mercy of this situation here with the virus. So the more time we have to plan out and organize it well, I think an 80-game season, full out, high intensity, something very positive could be done without that instead of rushing back. That's my only concern, rushing back. It's very key that we do it when we come back at the right time.
Yeah, Ken Rosenthal said the target is 80 to 100 games for 2020. So all we can do right now is wait and see. Now, still to come right here on Cubs 360, Major League Baseball, of course, considering expansion of that playoff pool. So take a look at this. Could the 2019 Cubs have made a World Series run if a few more teams would have snuck in? We're going to have answers to that and much more next right here. You're watching Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite.
Great start, you guys. That was strong stuff. That was 10 minutes, and it did not feel like 10 minutes. Really good takes from you guys. Good stuff. It's good. All right. So this segment, Cole's going to bring us in. You guys will see it in post, but we're going to show this 16-team bracket that would happen based off of last year's final standings. In the bracket, there's some tasty matchups. I think it would have been Dodgers-Cubs as the 1-8 in the National League. I think it was Red Sox-Yankees as one of the opening round games. So we'll just have a fun conversation about, if they do, we do see a 16-team playoffs, what does that mean for the league? We can even dive into how it could be done as a first round single elimination, second round single elimination, and then we get to best of 5, best of 7, and then 7 World Series. However you guys want to shake it out and how you think it would be best, let's have some fun with that conversation. So, Cole, let's lead off with Carlos here. Okay? We'll lead off with Carlos here.
Cool.
All right, guys, keep that energy up. That was a really good segment. Just give me a single when you're ready there. Thank you, Kevin.
You're coming back on the full screen?
Yeah, you're reacting to the in bump.
Yep. Oh, and that's the...
It's basically Lynn just wrapping up the season, and the Cubs, not in the playoffs this year. It'll,
You got it.
Okay, cool. I didn't know how he wrote it, but all right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Whew, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we know how the rest of that goes. And what if the 2019 postseason field included 16 teams, 8 from the NL and 8 from the AL? So what do we do at Marquee Sports Network? Well, we mocked up a bracket of our own based on the standings, seeding by teams and the records without regard for those division champs. Now, the Cubs, a season ago, they would have been matched up against the Dodgers in the first round. Now, the winner, they would have advanced to face either the Cardinals or the Brewers. Now, you can see the rest of the matchups right here. And notice a couple rivalries in the first round. The Yankees, they would have butted heads with the Red Sox, and the Astros, it would have been a Texas two-step as they faced off with the Rangers. So back here with the crew, it's Taylor, JD, and Carlos. And we heard the Ken Rosenthal report. Major League Baseball, of course, looking for an expanded playoff format, and that would put the World Series in December. So, Carlos, when you think about the postseason expansion, how do you feel about this? All the way in December with an expanded pool of 16 potentially?
Well, that's pretty much our only option is, okay, we have a short amount of time. How can we make it as exciting as possible? Cole, you're talking to a winter ball extraordinaire, all right? I played winter ball for many, many years. I had amazing time playing over there in Dominican Republic. Also, you know, I suffer a lot because it gets pretty intense. So if you go 0 for 4, you're going to hear it. So it's a great setup if you think about it. Every single game would matter. Shortened season. That's what I was talking about earlier when I said that Major League Baseball has an opportunity here to really blossom and to really come back and be the lifeline of this country. How? Let's just put out exciting baseball out there, and a round robin type of setup would create that. And remember, we've complained in the past how some teams, even though they have a very, very good record, possibly even better than other teams that go to the postseason because of the system they have now with the divisions, they may miss out in the postseason. With a round robin type of setup, they would be in the postseason, and now it's off for grabs. So I like this idea. I think it would be extremely exciting for fans. It would be fast. It would just kind of like put that monotony aside that maybe people complain about the game of baseball in a long, long season. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing all the creative ways that we can just really seize this moment and make baseball exciting for the American people in this very difficult time.
Yeah, I'm with you, Carlos. I'm wide open to any number of possibilities. You know, some kind of a March Madness, you know, tournament would be interesting if need be. Obviously, the best case scenario is probably following up to what we talked about last segment. If we were to get 80 to 100 games in, that creates a little bit more of a realistic regular season, and it makes it a little bit easier going forward. Postseason, I think you're going to want more teams involved. Obviously, more teams, more TV, more revenue. That's obviously going to be a big consideration with this because baseball is bleeding money right now because we're not playing. So, and the networks love postseason baseball, so there's an opportunity to recoup some money there. I would just want to make sure that the postseason is weighted so that the teams that have the best record in the regular season have a little bit of an advantage in the postseason. You're going to bring more teams into the mix. You're going to have the likelihood of, you know, and even in a shortened regular season, say you play 60 or 70 games, a smaller sample like that makes kind of the, for lack of a better term, the bottom feeders more likely to pull off a stunning upset. That's the beauty of the long season of Major League Baseball. 162 games, the cream rises to the top. Well, in a shortened season, half a season, the cream might not rise all the way to the top, but let's create a scenario in the postseason where that's more likely to happen. So instead of a one game wild card situation, let's do at least 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5 in advance as we go forward, depending on how many rounds, and ultimately finishing the LCS in the World Series with best of 7.
Well, I think we've heard this saying so many times. It's not necessarily the best team. It's always the hottest team. And so whatever way that we play out the postseason, it's going to be exciting. When I was reading about the possibilities of what Major League Baseball could do here, I saw such an opportunity for growth in our sport. We hear so often that Major League Baseball doesn't do a good enough job marketing their players, marketing the sport. But now we know right now in this state of our society with the lack of sport, if baseball would come back and be one of the main shows on television, the amount of eyeballs that would be on a postseason run would be enormous. And so now you have a chance to market your sport, market some of the huge players, and have an exciting postseason where everybody wants to follow along. I think it's an amazing opportunity for Major League Baseball to turn a situation that is really tough. It's been really tough for our entire country, and use it for so much good, marketing their players and helping to raise that next generation of fans.
Well, maybe Major League Baseball can take a page from the NBA and NFL's postseason playbook and try to maybe weave that into a WBC style tournament once the season is all said and done with. Now, more to come right here on Cubs 360. We're still swinging away, and now making baseball second season 1 year. Of course, that's one thing, but domination over an entire decade, that's completely different. So will the champagne be flowing at Wrigley for years to come? We're talking dynasty status next, right here. You're watching Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite.
Good job, you guys.
You're right on there. You're right on that.
Me?
Yeah, I mean,
say?
it's a great opportunity for MLB, man. It really
Yeah.
is. If they
Yeah.
seize it, they could look really good. I'm
Yeah,
telling
I
you.
agree. Yeah, I know. And I mean, it's crazy. Like the NFL draft. How many times have you sat down and watched the NFL draft extensively? I mean, I'm an NFL fan, and I know I have not watched the draft like that ever. And so, just the way that people are going to consume live sports when they come back, I think it's an amazing opportunity. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
I'm an unfair person to ask that question of like who sits
Because you
down and
always
watches the NFL.
watch it.
Yeah,
You're
Yeah,
like
I know.
me.
Well, yeah, you
kind of
work for
worked
the
at
network,
NFL for the
so
last 5 years. Yeah.
yeah.
And
All
I'm
right.
telling you that short postseason, short season, if they know how to do it, it would just blow the game up and it will blow the players up. It could be good
Yeah,
if they seize the moment. It could be
I
really good.
agree. Yeah, I agree.
All right, you guys. So here, Cole's going to bring you guys in, introduce you guys. Cole, don't forget you're reacting to the
Yep.
2003
Mhm.
that clincher, and then you're going to tee up our fresh take. We'll go to Taylor first, and the fresh take is Cubs will win the most division titles in the 2020s. So we'll just get your guys' take from this. We'll go Taylor, JD, and Carlos. So we're a little bit heavy, but everybody can probably go about 45 seconds to a minute, and then we'll probably have to wrap the segment. So we'll hear from each of you one time here. So we'll go Taylor, JD, Carlos. Just give me a single whenever you're ready. Oh, thank you. You good, Cole?
Yep.
Okay, here we go, everybody. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
2003, when I learned that getting cash advances on a debit card right across from Wrigley Field, probably not the best for your credit score. Now, you can see the Cubs wrap up that 03 division right here, 7 o'clock sharp on Marquee Sports Network. You won't want to miss that for a second. Now, back here with the crew, it is Carlos, Taylor, JD, along with myself, Cole Wright. And we got to get to our Miller Lite refreshing take of the day because you're talking about a new decade, a new attitude. And when it comes to 2020, here's the refreshing take. The Cubs will have the most division titles over the next 10 years. Taylor, I'll let you lead this one off.
Well, this is an interesting one, and I don't know if I can really put all my chips into an answer either way. I go back to when Theo first took over the Cubs and he was building it. He talked about having 4 core players who were impact players that you could kind of build upon. Well, they certainly had that, and that's why we've seen the Cubs have the type of success that they've had. Well, now those players are getting older, they're reaching free agency, and so we don't know who they're going to keep around and who they're not going to keep around. Now, when you do look at their the top 100 prospects in baseball, the Cubs have 4, which is the most out of any team in the National League Central. And so we've seen also under the Epstein era that they develop position players and sign pitching. And so I think a lot of this comes down to the money that they place and invest in current players, which one of those they're going to carry over and be part of the next core 4, the guys who they can bring up out of the top 100 prospects that they currently have. And then, of course, the money that they then can use to go and get the big time pitching like we saw them do with the John Lester to help them win the 2016 World Series. So I'm really interested to see how it's all going to play out. I do think that the chips certainly could be there, but I think some things have to play into place. It's really hard to be really good over a long period of time.
Taylor, so much research, so much rational thought. How it's going to play out over the next decade. In Theo, we trust. The Cubs are going to win a division title on 4 different occasions. Cincinnati's going to win 2. St. Louis is going to win 2. Pittsburgh is going to win 1. And the expansion Charlotte Knights are going to win a division title in the NL Central in this upcoming decade. So for all the reasons that you talked about, doing that deep dive into why, those are how it's all going to play out. So call your bookie, put your money on the table. 4,
Put
3, 2,
everything
1,
you
1.
own on the table. Your full mortgage payment. Best investment you'll ever make.
Carlos might even have an ownership stake in that Charlotte club. Who knows?
Hey, this is all I got to say. You got Contreras, but catcher. You have Bryant at third base. You have Rizzo at first base. You have Javi Baez. Keep those guys together, right? At least until 2025, and the Cubs do win the most division titles in the 2020s ever in their history.
Well, I like the
That's
idea
it.
of the Cubs dominating the decade, but I don't know if I like the idea of Charlotte. I was thinking maybe New Orleans or Nashville for one of the next Major League Baseball franchise cities. But what do I know? I'm just a caveman. But I do know there's still more coming right here on Cubs 360, including bat flips. Yep, we're talking bat flips. We've seen some sick ones in the bigs over the years, but one quarantine couple, they're making a late push towards bat flip supremacy. We'll take a closer look next right here. You're watching Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite.
With so much
I still think
turnover
Nashville and
going
New
on in
Orleans.
the big leagues, I don't know. It's a tough
What
one.
about Portland?
I mean, I hear Portland's a great city.
They're going to have the most money. Money always.
Hey, Cole.
Yeah.
Portland? Wow.
What's up?
That
I hear Portland's. I've
is
never been to Portland, but I hear it's pretty cool. I heard
Oh,
they
yeah.
support their teams, obviously the
gorgeous.
soccer.
Yeah, that place is legit.
I just think Nashville or New Orleans would be an unbelievable environment, especially New Orleans, man. I mean, they love baseball down there.
All right, you guys.
shoot.
So we got a little heavy there, that last segment. So we'll do this one quick. Cole will bring us in. You don't even have to do the intros, Cole. We'll just go back down the line, and we'll get everybody's pick. So actually, let's go Carlos, Taylor, and then we'll end on JD. Okay. So you guys will each have about 15 seconds. Okay. Just quick explanation why you picked who you picked, and then Cole will wrap up the show.
Got it.
So Carlos, Taylor, JD.
So just a look, the quick little VO.
Yep, quick VO, and then just get to it.
Got it.
I'll start on the.
Okay, here we go. Yep, that's fine. I got you, Kevin. All good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Back on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. It's gone viral. Oakland A's prospect Noah Vaughn. He's taking his wife Riley Sarton Vaughn yard. And the bat flip, a thing of beauty, but she got a little payback. You know how the saying goes, happy wife, happy life. And oh, by the way, she played college softball at Texas A&M, so she knows her way around the diamond back here with the gang. And those flips, they got our wheels spinning just a little bit. Carlos, what's the best bat flip that you've ever seen?
Man, I have to go back to Jose Bautista in 2015 in the NL and then AL DS, right? Game 5. He hits this huge home run, stares the pitcher down, and throws the bat. It was crazy. Yes, I'm gonna be pragmatic. I'm gonna be objective. I'm gonna leave sportsmanship out. All right. That was an absolute sick backflip. Okay. So that's my pick right there. I don't know what you got.
I think he's definitely on another level. Everybody will always remember that. I had to go with one recent this last season, Cody Bellinger against the Diamondbacks, his second homer of the game. It was a walk-off. He just throws it up, two-hand drop. I thought that was pretty cool. It wasn't quite as extravagant, but it was pretty good to see a guy who has an extremely aggressive swing. And of course, what he did that year, it was kind of like, thank you, next.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a single favorite bat flip. Usually I tend to look away when the ball's hit and it's going to go out of the ballpark. But I got to tip the cap to Ricky Henderson. Ricky, it wasn't necessarily a flip as much as it was just like a little release, little toss, then the jersey pick, and then the slow jog around the bases. So anytime you're talking flamboyance and throwing a little mustard on the dog, you got to go with Ricky.
Well, I was going with another former Oakland, Bert Campaneris, JD. I don't know if everyone remembers that, but he had a different bat flip of a different kind. He was actually throwing his bat. And we're throwing our way out of here today because Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite, we've run our course. So for everyone at Marquee Sports Network, including Carlos, Taylor, and JD, I'm Cole Wright. We'll see you tomorrow.
Suzanne, same thing. I'd use that.
All right, you guys are clear. Good job, everybody. Zip, zip. Good show.
Okay.
Good energy, you guys. That was good.
Absolutely.
Guys,
see everybody.
That was fun.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hopefully see you soon.
Later, gang.